All right, we are live.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. It is, let's see, 7:01 p.m. on December 12th, 2023. And I now call to order the 2129th regular meeting of the City of College Place City Council. Sherry, will you please take roll call?
Mayor Hernandez,
Present.
Councilmember Cleveland,
Present.
Councilmember Peterson,
Present.
Councilmember Williams,
Present.
Councilmember Sherman,
Present.
Councilmember Boyle,
Present.
and Councilmember Espinoza has asked to be excused, and Councilmember Jessup is absent. We do have a quorum.
All right. Thank you. Will you all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. It's now time for public comment. Sherry, did anyone submit a comment in advance?
I did not receive any comments.
All right, is there anyone in attendance in council chambers?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so if anyone who is in attendance in council chambers that would like to speak during this public comment, please raise your hand.
No.
No one wants to speak. Okay. And do we have one person in virtual attendance? If you would like to speak during public comment, please raise your hand now, or *9 will raise your hand if you're connected by phone.
No.
All right. So it looks like there's no one wishing to make a public comment at this time. So we're going to just move on to consent agenda, which consists of the agenda for tonight, December 12th, 2023, the council meeting minutes from November 28th, 2023, the council workshop minutes from December 5th, 2023, the cancellation of the December 26th council meeting, the cancellation of the January 2nd, 2024 council workshop, May 2023 check register and financial. Is that correct, May?
Yes.
Okay. The Southwest Sewer Project and Lift Station number 7 assessment, the 2024 administrative fees resolution update, and excusing the absence of Councilmember Espinosa. Are there any items that a council member would like removed from the consent agenda at this time?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Perfect. Great. We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I did not hear Councilmember Williams.
Sorry, aye.
Thank you.
All right, so it's unanimous. The ayes have it, and the motion is passed. Okay, we have 2 presentations on the agenda tonight. The first presentation is a swearing-in ceremony for Officer Anton Bushklaus. I'm sorry, I'm gonna mess that up. Bushkovsky by Chief Tamaris. My apologies. Can you, Chief Tamaris, can you correct me on that last name, on Officer Anton's last name, please?
Bushkovsky.
Bushkovsky. Thank you.
Mayor, Council, thanks for having me. This is always one of the more pleasurable times I get to come up and stand in front of you. And tonight we get to swear in a new officer, Officer Anton Bushkovsky. He's here with his family, and we're excited to do that. But before, I want to remind Mayor and Council what it takes to become a police officer in the state of Washington. So way before he gets sworn in, he has to compete against multiple people with a written test, a physical fitness test. Upon completing those successfully, he gets to go through an oral board process in competition with others. He then gets selected to meet with me and do a chief's interview. He gets he or she get a conditional offer, and then they go through a rigorous additional testing, which includes a polygraph examination, a psychological examination, an extensive background, and a medical screening. It is quite the process. And then you get hired as a trainee. The trainee then gets to be put on a list to go to the Basic Law Enforcement Academy. And it can take up to a year right now for some. We were fortunate to only have to wait about 5 months to get Anton into the Basic Law Enforcement Academy. So they spent 22 weeks, and in this case, he spent 22 weeks in Burien, Washington, going through the Basic Law Enforcement Academy. He got done with that and had to complete 3 months of field training with a field training officer to show that his applied skills were effective. So, and that he was a representation that we wanted in our city. And indeed, he is. We are so grateful and proud to have Anton part of our team. He is a tremendous addition to our team. So with that said, I'm ready to swear him in. So Anton, if you'd come up. Forget the glasses. I repeat your name.
I, Anton Mushkowski,
Do you solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties of my office
discharge the duties of my office
as prescribed by law
as prescribed by law
and to the best of my ability.
and to the best of my ability.
Will support the Constitution
Will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of the state of Washington
of the state of Washington
and ordinances
and the ordinances
of the city of College Place
of the city of College Place
as a peace officer,
as a peace officer,
to which position
to which position
I have been appointed.
I have been appointed.
Congratulations. Now we're gonna call his family up here to pin the badge. Just standing behind him here. Let's get a picture of you guys together. Nicely done. Very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Officer Bushowski. Welcome.
Thanks, Anton.
Okay, I think that was the sweetest pinning that I've ever seen. That was so sweet. All right. All right. Well, Chief Tamaras, you're still up at this time, the yard of the month.
Mayor Hernandez, we're delaying that to the next meeting for some additional information.
Okay, sounds good then. Then let's move on to public hearings. There's one public hearing on the agenda, and Mr. Carlton will present on the fiscal year 2024 budget.
Thank you, Mayor. If you can bring up our presentation. So this is our final budget. We're gonna have a public hearing starting now, and I'll go through the presentation. And first, we'll identify what changes have taken place since the last iteration. You can see that there was a total change of $71,000 impacted the fund balance. And that related to the police officer vehicles and how they got put into the budget in Fund 320, the third point. So we had to make that change. There was a couple other changes, but didn't affect any ending fund balances, transfers between funds. And also we set up the new TBD and the TIF accounts, and we transferred their transactions their involvement in projects, over the next years. I set those funds up and transferred the money in, but it's basically in and out. So it doesn't affect ending fund balance, but it did affect the project accounts and some of the funds. So here we're at. The important number here is the drawdown of 694,000. We spoke about it numerous times, and go on to the next slide. So we won't go through every number, but the only change is that $71,000 in Fund 320. We've gone, if you want to talk about any of the items in detail, I'll just give you a second.
Are you asking if any council member has any questions right now?
Yes, if you do,
Okay.
but no significant change from, that's just that 71,000.
Okay. Would any council member have a comment on this right now? Sherry, is anybody raising their hand? I can't see the entire chambers.
No.
No, okay.
Okay, move on to the next slide, please. This is the fund detail that was presented a couple meetings before, the breakdown between operating capital and debt. And you can see the one to note is the REIT 1 and 2 drawdown of 1.5 million. That of course is associated to some of the parks projects, well, all the parks projects actually, especially Lions Park is we've been accumulating money in that fund reserve for a number of years, and now it's being taken out, so that fund draws down. But you can see overall the drawdown of $464,000. If you took out the 1.5, we'd be at a $1 million surplus. So completely explainable in my opinion, and this is what we are bringing forward. Next slide, please. You can see by our reserve contingencies that we're in great condition in most places. The only one that shows under target is the current expense reserve fund, and we've talked about that. To support current expense and all the other projects going next year, we did not plan on putting any money into that fund for 2024. So therefore, it's going to fall under its target of 875,000, of which we have 590 in there planned for the end of next year. Next slide. This is one I provided starting last year in sort of the final, when we were wrapping up the budget process, and this is our leverage calculation. And you can see it's basically takes what our ending fund balance is and compares it to the liabilities and comes up with a ratio. That ratio, anything above 1 to 1.5 is considered good. That means you have enough cash to be able to pay off any current debt or any debt if it's above 1. So next year, our plan is to be at 1.04. So it still is a good ratio. It hasn't been as good as it was, say, in 19 and 20, but then we had that influx of ARPA money that artificially inflated that for a couple of years. Next slide. This was our staffing. No changes from the last presentation. Just wanted to make this available. All these increases have been included and are in the budget as presented. Last slide. So our next step, hopefully we get a budget adoption tonight in one of the action items. I have to prepare the budget flyer to get out as soon as possible once approved, and then I have to post the budget to MRSC. That's actually the deadline for that, I believe, is it within 30 days of approval. So that's where we're at. questions?
All right, let's go to council members for questions. Councilmember Cleveland,
No questions.
Councilmember Peterson,
The software we are using now, we've settled down a bit, correct? I mean, as we look back over the last.
Just
years-
in the last, I would say, couple weeks, really. It's been
Okay.
pretty intense. With small staff and all the projects and.
Yeah,
It's been definitely a challenge, and we did get behind in finishing off our month ends. You know, the transactions continue to flow month to month, and we do monitor the bank accounts to make sure there's nothing like out of the ordinary, but we're quickly our plan is to
Oh.
quickly get caught up. We just approved June this afternoon. The July won't take long, and our goal is to be done by have September, October done
Yeah.
by the end of the year.
no, my point
That's
is
our
not,
plan.
you guys are doing a great job. Okay, I know in the years past, we've had systems coming in and out, trying to adapt to, and I think my question was more broader perhaps, and that was, we've kind of settled down to a software that works and we're happy with, and it's usable, and you know, in the past, we had issues.
There's
with-
components that are a struggle. Utility billing's been a big struggle.
Still,
I think it's slowly getting to work out. The
yeah,
problem is with this current system that we're implementing, it's got a lot more internal controls. So there's more
Yeah.
steps to be taken than the old system that had internal controls, but not to this level.
yeah,
So there's more steps we have to go through.
yeah.
So it's more time consuming for accounting.
Are you happy with it?
So aspects,
Okay.
yeah, some stuff's way better. We just implemented the AP approval process.
Oh, yeah.
And that's starting to send electronic approvals around again.
Yeah.
Stay within the system. The old system was outside of the ERP. But I don't want to take too much time. It's
No,
gonna be a
no.
long meeting, but
No. I was just curious because I know
I could go on for hours if you want.
no, that's fine. Yeah, as much as I would love to. No, my point is, I think in the past, we've had discussions about the problems we've had with the software and whether, whether reported correctly and whatnot. And I think we're at a point now, there's challenges, but we're getting to that place.
Yeah, I
where-
think we'd be at the top of the curve
Yeah,
and
okay,
starting to come down. I think we're past the major issues.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
can make it work.
yeah. No, and once again, just curious.
The
more than-
reporting looks different. So
Great,
different reports means different things. We're gonna
Yeah,
have to adjust
of course.
what we look at, because the opportunity for reporting is way improved in this system, so
Yeah.
we can get a lot of,
you gotta learn it, yeah, okay. No,
and it's all in one system, so
it's not a pointed question, more curiosity if you're.
no,
if you're
I'm
happy,
more than
yeah.
willing.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been issues.
yeah, okay, great,
I think we're a bit on the cutting edge of this platform from Tyler. So we're getting a lot of new stuff that isn't fully vetted. So we have issues
sure.
when they say, oh yeah, I can do that. And then we go to do it and it doesn't do it.
No, I know.
So,
Okay, all right,
but I've been at it for 14 months now.
yeah,
So
good job, thank you.
it's coming.
Yeah,
Councilmember Williams,
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Sherman,
No questions. Thanks for all your work on this, Brian.
and Councilmember Boyle.
No questions, thanks.
All right, so we have no questions or further comments. At this time, I will open the public meeting. Sherry, did anyone submit a comment in advance?
I did not receive any comments.
Okay. And do we still have attendees in the council chambers?
Yes, we have one.
Okay, so if anyone attending in council chambers would like to speak at this time, please step up to this podium and state your name and address for the record.
Nope, no comments.
Okay, and I don't believe, well, we have one attendee in virtual attendance, so if you would like to speak regarding during this public comment time, please raise your hand. *9 will raise your hand for you if you're connected by phone.
Nope.
All right then. So is there any additional discussion from council at this time? And if not, is there a motion to close the hearing?
So moved, Councilmember Cleveland.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Peterson?
Thank you. Any additional discussion? For closing the public hearing, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, I believe I heard Councilmember Williams say aye before I asked the oppose.
Yeah, it was pretty much right on together, but I meant to vote yes.
Okay, so then it's unanimous, the ayes have it, and the hearing is closed. We're going to move on to our action items, and there are 13 action items tonight. Mr. Carlton will present on the fiscal year 2024 budget that he just spoke about.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just want to bring one thing to council's attention just before we finalize this item. If you can go back to I think it's the 3rd page. So here we are. This is our, it says preliminary budget. Sorry, this should be final budget. But our beginning fund balance is at planned, or we forecast that to be at just over $20.1 million. When we look back at last year's budget, because we had all the Lions Park in there and we had a lot of expenditures from wastewater treatment plant, which we didn't spend, we're about $2.6 million higher with our beginning fund balance for 2024 than we'd anticipated where we'd be at with the budget last year with its closing fund balance that was budgeted for 2023. It's about $2.6 million higher. That being said, the fund balance is, we feel is healthy, although we are drawing it down by just under $700,000. But that's where we stand on the budget. I won't go through the rest of the slides that we just went through, but open for questions.
All right, let's go through council members one more time for questions. Councilmember Cleveland.
Yeah, one question. Will you be personally recording an audiobook version of this for us to listen to at night? Sometimes I have a hard time sleeping, so.
It's only the 5th time this year. I think it's less than last year.
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Peterson.
No, it looks great. I think as we've looked at graphs in the past meetings, historically our fund balance is very strong, and so that's something that's a huge takeaway. The one issue, and it's minor, is do we the drawdown from my perspective, is it from capital projects in and out, or is it from just an adjustment to the expense fund going back and forth?
It's 100% related to the REIT fund that we're spending money on Lions Park.
Yes,
which was expected to have $1 million drawdown effect on the REIT too.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple other projects on the parks that are anticipated to go. I think the total that I presented was $1.5 million between the REITs are drawing down. So that's where, it's still, you'd be 700,000 positive if you didn't have those one-time expenditures that were planned. So the opening fund balance has that money in there waiting. That's why it's $2.3 million higher than what was anticipated in the 2023 budget. Because we'd anticipated that drawdown the prior year. So we're just kind of moving the chains along.
Yeah, yeah. And I think my statement is not that, yeah, it's capital. It's something just to be aware of what the components of what is expense versus capital. And once again, as you've explained, it's driven by capital, which is, yeah.
That the change this year is, I think you always have to be cognizant of current expense, because that's where not a lot of that capital happens.
Yeah.
So that's the one that is the one that has the most difficult to increase revenues,
Yeah, right, yeah.
because we don't control taxes, and all we get for property taxes is the 1% a year. So that's a disadvantage for current expense.
Yeah,
So when costs for ambulance or not ambulance, but for fire and police go up, then we have to have an associated increase in some sort of revenue source.
no, thank you. And no concern here, just,
Mhm.
yeah, to be aware of that as we go forward. Yeah.
We
Thank
do,
you.
yeah. And that's what Mike and I talk about that a lot.
Sure,
And
yeah. Thank you so much.
Councilmember Williams.
I don't have any questions, but I do want to say that I appreciate the time that you took in splitting things out by like capital and expense and debt in those slides, et cetera, that you've done over and over so that we can have a clearer picture. I know that added to your workload, and part of that was because of me asking annoying questions, and I do appreciate all your work.
thank you.
Councilmember Sherman.
No questions, thanks.
Councilmember Boyle.
No questions. Thanks for all your work.
All right. So if there's no additional discussion, do we have a motion regarding the budget?
Yeah, I'd like to, Councilmember Peterson, motion to adopt ordinance number 23-017 for the fiscal year 2024 budget.
Second.
Great. We have a first and a second. Is there any additional discussion? All right, let's vote and make it official. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. It's unanimous. The ayes have it and the motion is passed. Congratulations, Ryan and Daisha Reed.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate all your hard work.
Yeah, I couldn't have done it without Desiree.
So thank you both. All right, we're gonna move on to the next one. Ms. Doring will present on the 2024-2026 International Association of Firefighters Local number 4203 Bargaining Agreement.
Thank you, Mayor. We've been working over the last few months with the firefighter union to come up with an agreement that would work for everybody. And the document that you have, or documents that you have in front of you, one, the red line shows all the changes, and then the actual contract. We added, as like the rest of the city, we've added the Juneteenth holiday to their contract. And there's an addition of $50 a day callback if they're called back for the duty officer. A small increase on the cost sharing of the premium increases for health insurance, and then the cost of living increase, which is $665 over the next 3 years. And that pretty much covers. Oh, no, it doesn't. We also have the addition of, it's not an addition, we added 2 new classifications, a lieutenant and a fire marshal. Those are not additional FTEs. They're just needing a little bit more depth in the classifications over there. So all that is included in the budget that you just approved. I would be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
All right. Councilmember Cleveland, questions or comments?
No questions, thank you.
Peterson,
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Williams,
No questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Sherman,
No questions, thanks, Sean.
Councilmember Boyle.
No questions. Thank you.
All right, so if there's no questions or comments, do we have a motion?
I'll motion to approve the 2024 through 2026 International Association of Firefighters, IAFF, local number 4203, bargaining agreement as presented.
I'll second.
Wonderful. Any comments, questions? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. Thank you, Ms. Dowry. All right, next is a resolution encouraging tobacco retail locations to adhere to best practices. Mr. Rizzatello.
I'll be brief. This is a recommendation from Walla Walla Valley Blue Zone. City of Walla Walla has adopted identical resolution. It's just about tobacco advertising best practices, and they'll be educating our retailers. And then for the tobacco policy segment of the requirements, this would satisfy all of those. So we're completely through all the requirements on our side of the coin. So.
All right. Councilmember Cleveland, questions or comments?
No questions.
Councilmember Peterson,
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Williams,
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Sherman.
No questions.
All right, and Councilmember Boyle.
No questions, love it.
Excellent. So if there's no discussion, do we have a motion on this resolution?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 23-074, encouraging all tobacco retail locations to adhere to best practices.
Is there a second?
Second, Peterson?
Great, thank you. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. Thank you, Mike. Let's see next, Mr. Rickard's going to present on the Meyer Addition 3 to Phase 2 of the City Hall expansion.
Thank you, Mayor. So we are working on, and it's in the packet there, you'll see I think we're at roughly 60% design. Yeah, for the City Hall expansion with Meyer Architecture. As we've worked through the process, we realized that we don't have anything in our contract with Meyer for backup power, so a generator for the facility. There is also the need for revisions to the parking lot based on having to move trash enclosures and also find a location for the backup generation. And there's some other little things in there like EV parking within the parking lot. Some minor things related to the building, some structural engineering that will go with replacement of the beam work outside to replace the wooden structure with steel. Some plumbing changes, updating the restroom finishes that wasn't included in our original contract. So the contract is broken into 3 parts for addendum 3. So the first section, as you can see, it's broken down, is for design. That's at $63,000. That's an additional cost. And then there's bidding. That's another $2,000 when we go out to bid. And then the construction administration, that's another $12,000. There's quite a bit of design that will go into the electrical component of making sure that the backup generation is sized appropriately for the building. And that also kind of falls through with additional cost on the construction administration side of things. So total for addendum 3 is $77,000. So that brings with a contingency the total design effort for the City Hall expansion to $299,000. Any questions?
Right, Councilmember Cleveland, questions or comments?
No questions.
Councilmember Peterson,
This is being funded from,
So basically how it's being funded from would be about 2/3 of it, and this is worst case scenario, 2/3 of it would be a council manic bond. A third of it's essentially FEMA hazard mitigation money with some of the climate change money that the state has, as well as the refreshed hazard mitigation plan that the county is currently working on. I'm trying to get a lot more of that funded from the outside for the construction element.
so worst case scenario or a scenario, this would be, could be funded completely from operations.
No, it would be, so basically there is remaining council manic, essentially debt bond authority that worst case scenario that would essentially fund about 2/3 of it. I believe from the stuff I filed with the hazard mitigation, I believe a third of it's definitely in the bag with information as of late. I think a lot more of that we can get outside funded, but again, just trying to project worst case.
No. Thanks, Mike.
I'm sorry, regarding Councilmember Peterson's question, are we talking about the additional 77,000 or were you asking about the entire project altogether?
I was forecasting the entire project altogether. I mean, we have this programmed within the fiscal year 2024 funds from CE and so forth. I was talking about the construction element.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear. Councilmember Williams,
No questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Sherman,
No questions.
and Councilmember Boyle.
No questions. Thanks, Mike.
All right, so if there's no additional discussion, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve addendum 3 to agreement for services for the City Hall expansion project for a total not to exceed $299,200.
Second, Councilmember Williams.
Thank you. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. All right, so next on the agenda is the pre-approved housing plans. Mr. Rizzatello, you're going to present that for us.
Thank you. So we went over this at the last council workshop. This is a way of really trying to further some affordable housing, quicken the process, save the cost to the end user. Spokane Valley's doing it. Now the Tri-Cities are as well. They're in the process. So this definitely is not a new thing. Basically this resolution would just essentially allow us to have a partnership with Liberty House Plans. The idea would be is we pick various designs and so forth for the catalog. We'll have some initial concepts through Planning Commission, Economic Development Commission, then it goes to you all. And then if there's like additional things, we'll go from there. But essentially I'm trying to follow what Spokane Valley and the city of Spokane have done on this.
All right, council members, let's go for questions or comments, beginning with Councilmember Cleveland.
No questions.
Councilmember Peterson,
No questions. Thanks, Mike. It was a great explanation of this in our last workshop. Thank you so much.
Councilmember Williams,
No questions.
Councilmember Sherman,
No questions.
No questions.
okay, sorry, I wasn't sure if I heard you or not. Sorry. All right, so if there's no discussion, do we have a motion for this resolution?
I'll motion to adopt resolution number 23-075, approving pre-approved housing plan partnership with Liberty House Plans.
Second, Peterson.
Excellent. Do we have any additional discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. All right, Mike, you're still up and you're going to present on the Koala Creative District.
Thank you. This item we went over at the last workshop. Again, this is just permitting regional participation into the application for the Koala Creative District with the amended map boundaries. Again, different from over a year ago when this was conceived. So it focuses on Valley Transit lines, downtown College Place, downtown Walla Walla, and then a little peninsula out to Little Theater. It covers the Powerhouse Theater, as well as the university, and then Whitman College, and anyone outside of that are still partner agencies, but Arts Washington is just really good at making you do things, so I will couch it there. So I get emails about this like, hey, why is X, Y, and Z included? We try to like fight back on a lot of that, but truly we're like at our limits here. So but we'll turn in the application. Art Walla essentially would be the administrative on this. So it'll open us up for a lot of grant opportunities, marketing, and it'll be a good thing. Nearest one is the Kennewick district, the SoCo district that connects Clover Island and the downtown. So
All right. Councilmember Cleveland, questions or comments?
No questions?
Councilmember Peterson,
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Williams,
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Sherman,
No questions.
Councilmember Boyle.
No questions, thanks.
All right. So if there's no discussion, is there a motion for this resolution?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 23-076, permitting participation in regional application into Arts SWA for Koala Creative District with the amended boundaries shown in the map.
I'll second.
Great. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. Thank you, Mike. Next is the memorandum of understanding between the Walla Walla University, Common Roots Housing Land Trust, and the City of College Place. And Ms. Colwell is going to present on that, excuse me.
Thank you, Mayor. Can council hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. What is before council today is a resolution which would authorize the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the university and with Common Roots Housing Land Trust. The MOU is needed so that one, two, or all the parties can go after grant funding, in particular the CHIP grant funding, the Connecting Housing to Infrastructure program. Walla Walla University owns some property just adjacent to the city limits. It's not yet in our UGA, but in their consideration of developing that land, it's cost prohibitive without utilities of sewer and water out there running. So the thought is that we work collaboratively to leverage grant funding to see if we can't bring some development or at least consider some development for the city in the future. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Colwell.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Councilmember Cleveland,
No questions?
Councilmember Peterson,
No questions.
Councilmember Williams.
As most of you know, I am employed by Walla Walla University. I am also a member of the Common Roots Housing Land Trust. I am not on the board of either organization. I'm also not on any committees with the Common Roots, and I am not on any of the committees of Walla Walla University that will be looking at developing this project. However, if anyone will be more comfortable, if I recuse myself, I'm happy to do so.
Ms. Colwell, do you see a need?
No.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Ms. Williams. Councilmember Sherman
No questions.
and Councilmember Boyle.
No questions.
All right, so if there's no questions or additional discussion, is there a motion?
Well, in that case, I'll move to adopt resolution 23-077, which permits the mayor to sign the memorandum of understanding between the city, Walla Walla University, and the Common Roots Housing Land Trust.
I'll second.
Great, thank you both. Is there any other discussion? All right, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. Thank you, Ms. Cole. We appreciate your work on that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Let's see, next, Mr. Izzetelo is going to present on the resolution declaring certain events as official community events.
Thank you. So, this item has gone before this council for the many past fiscal years. So what MRSC recommends is that, just to pass a resolution which events occur where city monies may be spent. So, this is us trying to throw spaghetti at the wall at the listing of the said events. Well, yeah. Yeah, so Earth Day, Garrison Creek cleanup, Lions Club helps with that, but it's at Lions Park, Fishing Derby, neighborhood engagement, outreach events. They a lot of times they occur organically as we partner with Center for Humanitarian Engagement. Based on the success of last year, we're gonna try to keep chugging along with Block Party. The Farmers Market, please keep in mind they'll be at Kiwanis Park because of the Lions Park project. Movies at the Park, Freedom Festival, which is 4th of July. Our Arbor Day, which we need for our Tree City designation, which we do down at the Davis Elementary School. Autumn on the Avenue or Trunk or Treat, that's a Halloween event. Veterans Day, where we collaborate with Downtown Walla Walla Foundation on that. And then what we all just experienced with Winterfest, Light Up the Avenue. Yep.
All right, thank you, which by the way, that was a fantastic event. Thank you to everyone who worked so hard on it. All right, let's go for questions or comments. Councilmember Cleveland.
No questions.
Councilmember Peterson.
Mike, this process protects the city potentially from other ad hoc community events that maybe not be in alignment.
One could say that this essentially just shows the events that city resources are being put towards, and that can be important because although we project things in the budget with the events, we're getting a lot of sponsorships, things like that. So monies have been inflowing out of the account. So it just MRSC recommends this as a best practice.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Councilmember Williams.
No questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Sherman.
No questions. Thank you.
And Councilmember Boyle.
No questions. Thanks.
All right, so if there's no questions or additional discussion, do we have a motion on this resolution?
Councilmember Peterson, motion to adopt resolution number 23-078, which certifies community events for fiscal year 2024.
I'll second.
Great. If there's no additional discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed.
Mike, I did want to say thank you for this. It's very nice to see this list and especially all the things that have been added over the years. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks. Well, thanks to Sherry and Yatha and all of our staff for helping on that, because that's been, as you all know, relatively newer thing over the last 7 years.
So much fun. I think the community really enjoys them, and it really makes them feel more as a community. That's the feedback I get from them.
Yeah.
All right, next is the acceptance of the Transportation Improvement Board UAP grant for Southwest Majonier Road from College to Blueview. And Mr. Izzetelo.
Hey, thank you. So Transportation Improvement Board, we put in 3 grant applications. Good news is we got 2 of them. And then we also got like an adjustment on another one of our existing grants. So before I forget, I'll cover the adjustment one first for the Damson Road project. We ended up getting some additional monies, just shy of about $200,000. So when the city of Walla Walla redoes their portion of Rose Street, because they're gonna essentially change it where it has bike lanes, 1 lane each way with a center turn lane, we'll match them going in at our segments. That way there's not that awkward 2-block portion where it'd go 3 lanes of 4 lanes to 3 lanes and so forth. So they'll take care of that one. So I just want to bring that up while I'm still remembering that one. With this grant at hand, this is last money in for Southwest Majania Road, so just north of $1.9 million. I will say the cool thing about this is between this, the MPO money, the congressional earmark, and then the tax increment financing. Once we get the earmark in officially, we're just waiting for the contract on that. That essentially puts it where this project as it stands is overfunded. So that'll allow us some nice mobility within the tax increment financing district, just because I have a feeling the parking lots may end up costing more based on what some appraisals are coming in at for property, and I'll just park that one there. So this is to essentially help reconstruct Majania Road next year. We'll be finalizing the engineering, acquiring some right of way, and I would expect this to go a bit later 2024 going into 2025 because it's a pretty intensive project.
All right. Councilmember Cleveland, questions or comments?
No questions.
Councilmember Peterson?
Mike, all these grants and these sidewalks and whatnot, it's one of these things. I was just reading, there was an article, I think in the Wall Street Journal or Washington Post. It was talking about pedestrian fatalities are on the increase in cities. It's a huge issue nationwide. And I know during our Christmas festival, it was just, the comments of those, going up, what would that be, 6th and 8th Street?
Yeah.
Am I correct there with? Yeah, okay.
Correct.
And the ability to get up there safely instead of dodging between cars. And so more than just the aesthetics of this, hey, we got sidewalks, there's this safety issue and this ongoing benefit to people that is counter to probably what's going on in many places of this country. And I thank you, Mike, for this. This is just something that goes beyond, the dollars and the cents. It comes to our citizen safety. And I'm just, it was the comments as I walk up and down those sidewalks and people making, positive comments in this safety that you can obviously see. So anyway, thanks to the city and you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for sharing that, Councilmember Peterson. Councilmember Williams?
No questions, but I do firmly agree with what Councilmember Peterson said. So important.
Yeah. Councilmember Sherman?
No questions. Thanks, Mike.
Councilmember Boyle?
No questions. Thank you.
All right. So if there's no questions or further discussion, do we have a motion on this resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 23-079, which authorizes the mayor to execute an agreement with TIB for Southwest Majania Road improvements. A 28.3817% grant for $1.922008.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any additional discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. We are up to number 10. Mr. Rizzatello is going to present on the acceptance of the Transportation Improvement Board ATP grant for Southeast 8th from Birch to Larch.
Hey, thank you. So as you all know, trying to get sidewalks and fixing up 8th Street has been a critical goal for some time, and we did get it federally classified. So that way we could actually get grants for it. And this is a good example of why we did that. Just to go a little history on this. So the Community Development Block Grant paid for a sidewalk on 8th between College and Bathe. We now have a Metropolitan Planning Organization Surface Transportation Grant to pay for a sidewalk on 8th between College and Birch. And then this grant would essentially pay to put sidewalk down 8th where none exists between Birch and Larch. So the idea is to have a pedestrian segment on one side of the road going all the way to Lions Park, and then put in there some money as well to have rapid flashing beacon and further provide safety across the busy roadway at Larch, which is going to be very important as the park gets renovated and then the community center gets redone and so forth. This is also critical why we need a transportation benefit district, because the idea here is that they'll provide the match funds. And I'll just throw it out there, like what we encountered with 6th or 8th Street. It's a good thing we have transportation benefit district, because on the older roads we're going to get it engineered, but it becomes an issue of when you start digging, you don't really know what's under any of that. So I am deeply concerned. I'll just say I'm deeply concerned about segments of that. So this is the prices of now. But I'm just throwing that out there. So.
Mike, I'm more concerned about what's not underneath those once you start breaking up the streets. Right. Councilmember Cleveland.
No questions, but I really appreciate the work that you put into getting the sidewalks in, making the city safer, and the forward planning with transportation and walking to the hopefully future community center there.
Councilmember Peterson.
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Williams.
No questions, but Mayor, I think you have it absolutely right. What is not under there is highly suspicious.
That's the scary part. Councilmember Sherman.
No questions.
Councilmember Boyle.
No questions. Thank you.
All right. So if there are no questions and no further discussion, do we have a motion on this resolution?
This is Councilmember Williams. I will move to approve resolution number 23-080, which authorizes the mayor to execute an agreement with TIB for Southeast 8th Street, Birch to Larch improvements, 90% grant, $657,900, match 10%, $73,100.
Second, Councilmember Cleveland.
Excellent. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. Thank you, Mike. Let's see, we're gonna move on to back to Mr. Carlton on the final budget amendment for 2023.
Thank you, Mayor. We are required by RCW, if there's a significant variance between budgeted revenues or expenditures and actual revenues and expenditures. So this budget amendment is taking into some of those adjustments that for projects that we haven't completed this year, in which we had expenditure and an associated funding revenue stream for all those projects. What that's going to do by making this amendment is when we do our actual reporting to the state, it's due by the end of May, is that the comparables between budget expenditures and actuals won't be as far apart. So it is more representable of what we actually did in the year. So the items that I'm recommending we adjust is in the Fund 301. There's some road projects that weren't started that has a $300,000 impact. The Lions Park Lions Park project, of course, is $3.2 million was included in the budget in both revenue source and expenditure. There's some street projects under the street capital fund, 1.9 million that weren't completed or not started in 2023. The Vector truck that was ordered over a year ago, we still haven't got it, and that was 700,000. That'll get. These are, of course, are all being pushed forward into 2024 budget or further out. The Fund 403, that's under the stormwater as was the Vector. Projects delayed 305,000. And then, of course, the big one, the wastewater treatment plant and lift station 5 projects that are carried over into 2024 and beyond of 26.5 million. There is no impact on the ending fund balance. This is just reducing both expenditures and revenues in an equal amount. So it doesn't affect the, our pool of funds. It's just helping more accurately report what happened in 2023. Any questions?
Councilmember Cleveland,
No questions?
Councilmember Peterson,
No questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Williams,
No questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Sherman,
No questions.
Councilmember Boyle.
No questions.
All right, so if there's no questions and no further discussion, do we have a motion on this budget amendment?
Councilmember Peterson, motion to approve the 2023 amended budget ordinance number 23-018 for changes in revenue and expenditures.
I'll second.
Great, we have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. Thank you, Brian. Let's see, we have resolution requesting the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers technical assistance for floodplain mapping and management services of Military Springs, Garrison Creek, and the Stone Creek corridors. Mr. Rizzatello.
Thank you. So Cynthia Bowen with the Army Corps of Engineers reached out to me and essentially through this program, issue a letter of request, and then they'll essentially do mapping free of charge, and it opens up grant money through the WRDA Act to mitigate stormwater, which is of deep interest. And so really this the next two is us issuing a letter of request. If we and Lakeway came up with, we could end the partnership at any time, but they have extra money available. So she inquired to us to essentially send a letter because they do this for Walla Walla all the time, although they have bigger creeks over there. And I guess they got clarification that the smaller ones they would still be able to do. There was a question about that for some time.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Cleveland, questions or comments?
Just one. I was looking at the maps of the of Garrison Creek map and then Military Springs. That was right along the backside of my house. I had no idea. Is that accurate? Is that just piped?
So Military Springs, some of that is like an indentation in the ground pretty much. So it comes like from the town center, and then it goes right behind where you're at, and then it goes basically mid-block between like C and A Street. And at that segment, it's this like little surface trickle, and then it goes into a big pipe under College Avenue. But that creek had quite a bit of improvements listed in our stormwater improvement plan that we need to do over the years. Thus, why I'm trying to get someone else to hopefully pay for a big portion.
Okay, thank you.
Interesting. Councilmember Peterson.
Mike, does our city have a reserve at all? And if we don't, I understand why not. Of empty sandbags.
So the county emergency management has that, and there's actually a sandbag machine up at the state penitentiary where they can essentially fill them. So that's where they're at. And we're part of the county emergency management and the whole sandbag group through the interlocal agreement.
And so, yeah,
Yeah,
we have access to
Yeah.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
Councilmember Williams,
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Sherman,
No questions. I just want to congratulate Michael on his new waterfront property. Nice work.
Councilmember Boyle.
No questions.
All right, so if there's no questions or comments, do we have a motion for this resolution?
I'll motion to adopt resolution number 23-081, permitting city administrator to send a letter of request to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for floodplain mapping / management services technical assistance for Military Springs, Garrison Creek, and Stone Creek.
Second.
Great, we have a first and second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
I,
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. Let's see, we have one more to go, and that's a resolution requesting participation in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Aquatic Ecosystem Restoration, Section 206 of WRDA or WRDA, pertaining to Stone Creek 454 Christensen Lane, College Holding Properties. Mr. Rizzatello.
thank you. So for this program, and talking with Cynthia Bowen, they actually have a program where the cities have requested this on behalf of like the property owners. But if they get a letter of request, they essentially can have some cost participation in engineering plans and construction to fix up like stream areas. And with that, so what I end up doing is I send emails both to the controlling interest on Martin Airfield as well as the Lakeside Group on Craig Christensen's property, just to see if anyone wanted to participate in this. At the time, the Martin Airfield group did not. However, the Lakeside group did want to. So this letter request is to invite them and participate with Lakeside. And the general concept of that over time was to have essentially Stone Creek through there as an amenity and park and an open space and so forth. So this is just a way to get some additional resources at the table.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Cleveland,
No questions?
Councilmember Peterson,
No questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Williams.
no questions. I do appreciate, Mike, that you being on top of this because with development and changes and climate change and everything, the where flooding is likely changes over time, and if we're not careful and having the maps not correct, that messes up our citizens' abilities to get FEMA and all kinds of other things. So I appreciate you being on top of it.
Councilmember Sherman,
No questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Boyle.
No questions.
All right, so if there's no questions and no additional discussion, do we have a motion on this resolution?
Councilmember Williams, I'll move to adopt resolution number 23-082, permitting city administrator to send a letter of request to participate in U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Aquatic Ecosystem Restoration, Section 206 of WRDA, pertaining to Stone Creek 454 Christensen Lane College Holdings property.
I'll second.
Right, first and a second, any additional discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, it's unanimous. The ayes have it and the motion is passed. Thank you, Mike. Well, we got through all 13. Congratulations, everybody. It's not midnight yet. There's no administrative reports. There are no informational reports. And we do not have an executive session tonight. So is there any other business for good of the order?
Yes, Councilmember Peterson. What a wonderful parade of lights the other night. You can go ahead.
Okay.
I'll go halfway. You can finish it.
Okay.
You know, Mayor, thank you for your wonderful speech there out by the tree. You did a wonderful job. It's that small town feel that you spoke of. And I'm not sure, many of us, we have individuals, we have relatives and friends that were in town, some from Southern California. And you cannot replicate that, I don't think, anywhere but in College Place.
Aw.
And it's just an amazing thing that we do here, and I look forward to it. And go ahead, council member, you were going to add some things.
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you to all the staff. Seeing everybody out there, I felt like everybody who is on staff and maybe some who aren't, we're all out working so hard, and you could see the citizens just had such a good time. And I love seeing that, knowing that we didn't used to have that, obviously, and to have that now here for everyone. And Sherry, you were so freaking cute.
Yes. Wow.
In your outfit. But anyway, it was awesome. A great sense of pride, I think, for us to be there and see that, but to also just know that everybody is there and happy to participate in what you guys are doing is awesome. Thank you.
Sherry, do you recollect the number? Athen told me, but I don't really remember what it was, of how many attended the bazaar?
About 600.
Yeah. I mean, that's incredible if you think about it. And hopefully it'll encourage more vendors, because I don't know, we had 14 or so vendors there. For 600 people, that's a lot of business, right?
Yeah,
But-
I was fortunate. I got in early and snagged the last one of the necklace I got for my daughter for Christmas. So I appreciated the bazaar.
Absolutely. It all came together beautifully, and it made me proud. It truly did. It made me proud to be mayor of this community, to be part of this community in any way. So thank you for Peterson and Sherman for bringing that up. Is there any other business? All
See
right.
you next year.
Yeah, last
Absolutely.
meeting of the year.
All right. Do we have a motion to conclude 2023?
So move. Councilmember Williams.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, so if there is no objection, the last meeting for 2023 is concluded at 8:13 p.m.